Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Astrology News Report, an alternate view of world events as seen through the lens of Vedic astrology, presented by yours truly, Ron Berger. Today is November 30th, 2014. So let's take a look at the week that was, and how the planets' positions in the zodiac matched up with the past week's events. Last week, on the very day that Mercury entered Scorpio, the grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri, made its decision in the Mike Brown-Darren Wilson case. Essentially, the question was, is it lawful for a police officer to kill an unarmed, injured black teenager who is trying to get away? Note that Mercury is the planet of making rational decisions, and Scorpio is the sign of power, secrets, and manipulation. Again, Scorpio is the sign of manipulation. Knowing full well that there would be violence, why did the authorities decide to make the announcement after nightfall? And why, after calling out the National Guard, were the waiting troops not deployed when the violence began? Well, here's the chart of the time of the announcement, 8 p.m. in Ferguson on November 24th, 2014. The ascendant, which represents the event itself, in other words, the announcement, has Mars, the planet of action and aggression, nearly exactly opposite the rising degree. Mars signifies anger and violence, and combines with the moon. That signifies the public. And these two are in the sign of belief, truth, and self-righteousness, Sagittarius. And the public reacted all right. The violence in Ferguson that night surpassed everything that had happened previously. The next day, Mercury was exactly conjunct Saturn, the planet of reasons and explanations, conjunct the planet of harsh realities, making for some serious news. The leaders, politicians, and pundits tried to make sense of it all. By late evening of Tuesday, November 25th, the moon was exactly conjunct Mars. Thousands of people took part in protests in over 100 cities across the United States. Roads were blocked, and violence erupted in numerous instances. By Thursday, the protests had cooled down. Note that Mars, the planet of violence, had changed signs, entering realistic Capricorn. Perhaps now the people will turn their need for action towards more practical ways of bringing change to a police problem that badly needs reform. And, now that Mars has moved, another celestial pattern gets set up, with some interesting consequences. Mars, the planet of conflict, is now in opposition to Jupiter, the planet of laws, courts, and judgments. So it looks like the Ferguson affair is not finished yet. There will be challenges to the grand jury decision that let Officer Wilson go free. As has been reported previously, the Rahu transit through Virgo hits the USA chart's natal Saturn in the USA chart 10th house. This is an indication of changes at the top of the government, since Rahu is a significator of transformation. Saturn indicates the established order, and the 10th house of a nation's chart stands for the leader and people in high places. Last week, as Rahu was exactly conjunct the USA natal Saturn, Chuck Hagel, Secretary of Defense, resigned. The media tongues were immediately set wagging, and no wonder. Mercury, planet of communications and news, had just entered Scorpio, sign of secrets, investigations, and scandal. Talking heads made note of the fact that Hagel's resignation comes immediately on the heels of the Obama administration's decision to expand the combat mission in Afghanistan in 2015 rather than end it, as was previously stated. The reversal of previous policy evidently reflects a major disagreement within the administration, and it is speculated that Hagel was on the losing end of that fight. There was more nasty weather in the country last week, courtesy of the Ketu-Uranus combination in Pisces, which hits the fourth house of the USA natal chart, the house that includes the homeland and the comfort of the people, both of which got severely challenged on the busiest travel day of the year, the day before Thanksgiving. Hundreds of plane flights were canceled. This planetary combination of Uranus plus Ketu continues through this winter, promising much more in the bad weather department. Okay, that'll do it for this week's review of the week. You can keep up with daily astrological developments and contribute your own thoughts by following me on Twitter at Astro News Report.